Good afternoon everyone, it's PTG-Gobbo here. We're doing a cobblestone base today. We're going to be using some milliput. And we're going to be using the Green Stuff World Small Bricks Roller, which I think is really clever. We're going to need some PVA glue, some sand, some accessories for the base. We've got a little candle holder, some books and scrolls, a random little tub just for water, a sculpting tool if possible, dry brush, medium brush, detail brush, and a fine detail brush. So we can get some water in our little tub. We're going to get our milliput and cut off what we need. I like milliput, it's a little bit cheaper than green stuff, but you can use green stuff if you wanted to. Get him wet, make him nice and moist, and just start mixing him together until he forms a nice little ball like that. We then mash him onto the base, getting rid of any excess that you don't need, and getting it into the shape that you want. When you're happy, make sure it's all wet again, and make sure the roller's wet, and just roll it over, leaving the indentation on the base. That's what he looks like there. Once he's dry, use your PVA glue and just start getting around the edges, anywhere that's not quite sharp defined cobblestones. I like to cover in a little bit of sand just to make it look a little bit smarter. Dunk him in and then give him a nice little twirl about and leave him to dry. Once he's dry, that's what he looks like. We're going to add our accessories, so we're going to do like a little altar with a little book there, and it's undercoated with Chaos Black spray. Then we're using cold grey with the dry brush, and we're going to start picking out all the details. Just dusting over every single part on the miniature, picking up anything that's raised. You don't have to worry about being neat at this point. Again, just the idea is just to pick anything up that the brush can get over and just start building those colours. Next up, we're going to get the stone wall grey, and we're going to go the same again, just picking up on the slicer edges, making those cobblestones a little bit brighter. Again, doesn't have to be neat, we'll be cleaning up again in a second. We're going to grab our medium brush, back with the cold grey, and we're going to start picking out the actual flagstones and cobblestones themselves, just to give them a bit more definition. So just gradually work your way from one side to the other. If you have to do a couple of small coats, that's fine. But I think this makes it stand out against the sand a lot better. Next up with the Stonewall Grey, we're going to go over the flagstones again, but we want to catch the sides of the flagstones that are facing towards the candle. The idea being is that we're going to try and get the light coming from the candle. This just helps bring them out. Once it's dry, you can go back in again just to really highlight it and define it. And lastly, I do a 50-50 mix of dead white and the stone wall grey, and we're just going in towards the closer edges towards the candle and just giving them that final boost. Next up is the strong tone wash, again watered down 50-50. We want to catch all the sand and dirt around the outside of the flagstones. Just want to try and dirty it up a bit. If it's an old basement or an underground cellar or like a sewer or something like that, you just try and get it darker and dirtier. Next up's the dark tone wash, and we're going to pick out all the gaps between the stones just to try and really contrast against the brightness of the light. Next up, we're going to go to our detail brush with the cold grey, and we're going to start picking out all the details of the candlestick. We're going to try and do a very quick non-metallic metal. Just picking out a couple of areas that would stand out and then reflect the light. Again, take your time, just work your way through, picking out all the detail. We will be doing another tutorial in the future about a quick and easy non-metallic metal recipe, which I've used on my goblins, so we'll see that in the future. We're also going to use cold grey as the base coat for the candle wax, so we want to get that nice and bright eventually, but to cover the black we start with the cold grey, just picking up anything. Next up, we're going to go back to Stonewall Grey, and we're going to do the first highlight on all the candle wax, leaving some of the cold grey in the really deep recesses to starting to brighten it up. All the edges that would have light shining off it, anything that would drip would be a lighter colour. And just keep adding and adding until you're happy. We're also going to do a couple of spot highlights on the candlestick, just getting up anywhere on the top edges that would catch the light, just to give the impression of the metal. And then we're using dead white to go over the final part, making sure we're getting the top edges of all the candle wax, leaving the previous colours in the recesses. We're also going to do an extreme spot highlight on the candlestick. Just the tiniest part where the light would hit. Next up, the bone white. I'm going to do a base coat for the bone colour and also for the pages of the book. You may find that you need to do a couple of layers of this one. That's just to cover over the black. Next up is the dark tone wash, and we're going to do that over the skull. Just getting any shadows that are there, making it stand out nicely. We're also going to go over the candlestick, just working it into any of the recesses, any of the lower parts, the opposite of where the light would be. I'm going to go back to the bone white, again do another coat over the book. We want to make it like the pages are all completely one colour. It makes it a bit neater. We're going to have the burnt red, which I think is a really nice colour. We're going to use that for the binding of the book. We're also going to do the burnt red on the crest, on the upper part there. We can do a red and blue Bretonian sort of crest. And then we're going to use the ultramarine blue to do the blue section. We're also going to do the bookmark down the centre of the book in the blue, just to help it stand out. Got the beastie brown, and we're just going to get any of the ropes or tassels that are on the candlestick. Then the dead white, mixed with the ultramarine blue. We're then going to do a highlight on the edge of the crest. And on the bookmark. Then with the bloody red, the same on the red part of the crest. Just picking out the edges for a nice edge highlight. Next up is the black surface primer with the detail brush, and we're going to go in and try and freehand a little pentagram on there. So our character's doing a little bit of black magic, bit of heresy in the basement. Freehand unfortunately isn't one of my strong suits. I do try to do it occasionally, but I prefer painting with texture. If you have any tips on freehanding, feel free to pop them in the comments. I'd love to learn more about it. Next up we've got the light tone wash, and we're going to go over the pages of the book, trying to focus around all the folds or anywhere where there would be a natural darkening. We're going for the medium yellow. We're going to start picking out the candles now. Starting with the darker of the yellows. I know yellow's quite a bright colour anyway, but darker yellows just to try and then build up to the bright at the top, just to give the effect of flame anyway. Next up's the moon yellow, again on the upper parts of the candle, just a little bit brighter. And again, the candle light anywhere that would bounce off of the metals that we did at the bottom there. Just to give the effect of the light shining off it. And there we go, there's our little priest hiding away in his basement, praying to the dark gods. I hope you like it. Again, it's a nice quick and easy base tutorial. Please like and subscribe. We're hopefully going to be doing some more coming soon, and we will speak to you all soon. Thank you very much. Bye.